Welcome back to the Flying Doghouse, and a big thank you to folks in the community for making some suggestions about what did you want to see next. So based on the poll that we had published last week, we're going to take a series of videos next to look at the C-47 and the DC3. So we're going to start with the C-47. So I'm going to do a sort of an overview like we did with the PBY, and then a cold and dark start and a deeper dive in terms of things you need to consider while you're operating the aircraft. Also planning on doing that same pair of videos for the DC3, and we'll use a commercial airline livery as we walk our way through that. So I have something historic picked out, so we'll use that as we explore really the differences between it and the C-47. So they're similar. The aircraft, I believe, were both built by Airplane Heaven for Microsoft, but they're different. They handle a little different, and the built-in camera views are different, and some of the switches are labeled differently or do different things. So we'll explore all of that as we proceed. So let's jump over in the sim. All right, here we are, sitting on the ground, RAF Debden. And as of the recording of this video, we just released another update for RAF Debden here on Flightsim.to. So if you already have that add-in, please go grab the update. If you don't have the add-in, then take a spin around here and you can sort of get a little bit of a flavor in terms of what's here. It's a quite a large airfield. Lots of buildings, lots of scatter. There was some work done over in the village too, just to make this more immersive in terms of what it might have looked like back in the day. All right, to the guest and star of the show at hand here, C-47. So I do have the ground scatter turned on. So we have our ground power unit on. We've got fire extinguishers on either side of the aircraft. We've got our load master here supervising some cargo going into the plane. But the texturing of this is very, very well done. So one of the differences you'll notice between the C-47 and then the 40th anniversary DC3 are the engine sounds. So I'll leave it for you to decide which is better. Both are definitely sim-worthy. I'll just go ahead and get that out of the way. This is an airplane that we have used on quite a few group flights, and we'll kind of talk about that as we go. All right, let's jump inside the cockpit here. We'll tidy up around the aircraft and then get it ready for start. Okay, into the cockpit we go. So a number of things in the eyebrow section of the aircraft. Most of this stuff is lighting, and then our master ignition and magnetos are here, and then the switches that we need to fiddle with in terms of engine start are here as well. So we'll talk about what energizing and meshing means, and then we'll look at the priming of the engines as well, and the use of booster pumps. We'll handle all that in the deep dive, but that's really what you're looking at here in the eyebrow. To cut the ground scatter on and off, that is located on the right hand side of the cockpit in the co-pilot section. So that'll cut off the cargo, close the cargo doors or open them depending on their state, and then you can remove our chocks and the other secure items that are in place. Okay, so if I'm doing anything in the C-47, in addition to doing what I just did, I'm going over here, and we're going to take a look here real quick at Lieutenant Ricky. So this was added to the C-47, not in the DC3. So to remove the lieutenant from the cockpit, all you have to do is click on this oxygen system valve here. So we'll do that. We'll say goodbye to the lieutenant. Behind the co-pilot and the pilot are a series of valves that come into play. The blue handle and the hydraulics are necessary for cow flaps and also for operating the Sperry gyro, if you choose to fiddle with that. Really, the secret sauce in terms of using the gyro really comes to getting the aircraft, trimmed out and in steady flight, and then engaging and then disengaging as you need to. So it works. It's a primitive way of giving the pilot some relief in terms of holding onto the stick and rudder. At any rate, there's that. So we have the lieutenant turned off. And up we'll go back into the eyebrow. If you want to follow the workflow and follow a checklist, then you certainly can do that. If you prefer to jump in the aircraft and get it better positioned to be able to do a Control E start, there is a switch at the top labeled Quick Start, which is guarded. So you'll have to unguard it, click on it, and then re-guard it. And it will flip a few of the switches. There is lighting available in the aircraft. And there are some switches over on this side to cut on our spots. And now we can see what we're doing. And I think I accidentally clicked on the prop feather. That would not have been good. Okay, so that's fine. One of the things you do need to check, and we'll run the checklist in the second video, need to make sure you have your cowl controls, they're open. That's for ventilation and airflow around the engines. Definitely necessary while you're on the ground. Okay. And my parking brake is on, and I do have my landing gear locked and ready. So let's go ahead and press Control E and do a start. We'll cut our background music off here. There we go. All right, so I'm going to press Control E, and then I'm going to jump outside the aircraft. And we'll zoom in there and watch those come to life, along with some of our neighbors who are getting started as well. All right, very good. Got a good engine start here. Jump back in the aircraft. Now that we're generating our own stuff, we'll cut the ground power unit off and it will disappear. But safety's job one, so that is no longer there. When you do start the engines, you do want to make sure that your engine RPM is right at 1000 RPM, and then let the engines warm up. The other thing that you're going to want to make sure of is to monitor your oil cylinder head pressure or temperatures, and then the carb air temperatures. And I noticed that the carb air is still low. Temperature should be coming up on the cylinder heads as we let it sit here for just a minute, and we'll get into the green zone. Looks like oil temperature is already there. Cylinder head temperature's in the green. Carb is not, so I'm going to go ahead and cut the carburetor heat on. And you do that by using your mouse. Left mouse, and then pull, push. And then we'll lock those in place. Those will need to be monitored in flight. Okay, let's jump outside the airplane here. And let's get a control surface review. All right. The So if we were running the full checklist, we would also check each engine and monitor the RPM drop when we switch to a single side of magnetos on the motors. And you will see RPM drop. There are actually two needles here that are on top of each other because both of the engines are operating at the same RPM. I just turned the left engine up a little bit so you see the needles are different. What you're going to observe with the magneto process is that the RPM will drop and then go back. It should go back to normal if the airplane is in a good state. Okay, so we'll recycle through that in our next flight, I think. Just double check our condition here. That's looking good. All right, so I do want to drop down here and just make special note of, and cut the yoke off too. Get that out of the way. Problems with my mouse today. Not sure why it's really not wanting to help me out. We'll figure that out later. What the point that I was going to make about the RPM and the manifold pressure is that these gauges are marked with a red marker, which is don't exceed, green, which is, you know, for climb out and sort of high performance, and then the blue range really is where you need to settle the aircraft in for cruise operation. So there's that. We're not going to obviously explore this today, but the plane also has superchargers. So if you need a little bit more performance and speed, then those are available to you at obviously a cost of increased fuel consumption. We'll talk about that in the next video a bit. Okay, we are ready to taxi. Park and brake is coming off. Take a look at my mouse controller once we're done with this. Yeah, so one of the things I have discovered with the sim in terms of using external peripherals is if you've got a lot of them, that could be problematic. But also if you have power management turned on those USB devices, that can also wreak havoc. So my particular configuration, I'm using SPAD Next to help me manage my my controllers. Taxi here. So if you are going to use the tail wheel lock, now is the time, right? So the tail wheel lock is located underneath the main pedestal. Is that control 4? Yeah. Yep. There's our parking brake. Here's the tail wheel lock. So if you like using that as your method of taking off a tail dragger, then certainly turn that on. I don't. The checklist would tell you to turn it on. I guess I'm running a little bit with scissors. Okay. I think we're good to go here. Run our RPM up here. Now, this being a tail dragger, it can ground loop on you. So managing speed and approach and braking and all those fun things during landing and takeoff are a good thing. We're well into our takeoff speed. Positive rate. And gear coming up. We can jump outside. So we have used this aircraft on a number of different group flights that we have been hosting on Virtual Flight Online. For one of our regularly scheduled Sunday flights, back in June we did do a recreation of the 101st Airborne drop during the 80th anniversary of D-Day as sort of a memorial flight there. So we did that, and we were using the lead plane variant of the C-47. So some of us had that, and we were dropping paratroopers into the drop zones as we had those marked on flight plan. We have also done a group flight in Papua New Guinea, again also using the C-47 lead ship, and we dropped paratroopers again, recreating a scenario that took place during Operation Cartwheel in Papua New Guinea. So I do enjoy the C-47, particularly the lead ship's paratrooper functionality, and it looks great. It is my personal opinion that the DC3 with the Ductworks mod, in my opinion, flies better. But again, we all get to choose what we like. And let's turn back toward the airfield here. Start losing some altitude. We can drop some prop RPM here too. There really are no surprises with the DC3 or the 47 in the air. It doesn't try to kill you. Really, the main challenge with the 47 is getting yourself into a good situation in terms of your airspeed for your approach and for deploying flaps. I'm going ahead and starting that process now. You can see the airfield over here, right off our nose. So for purposes of today's video, I'm going to drop down and do a low flyover of the airfield. I'm going to pull the gear back up. This will give you an idea of what's actually here. You can see the gliders that I believe I briefly mentioned those earlier. Waco gliders stored, and then there are Hawker Hurricanes and some Spits and some P-47s and some P-51s as static aircraft that are included here. And then different kinds of barracks, and there's some latrines and some cars and trucks and a follow me truck and a couple of field hospitals located on the airfield as well. And then also just off in the village. So we definitely paid some attention to building that particular scenery and then making it immersive. Obviously, I didn't eliminate all of the modern buildings around Debden. And this airfield actually does not exist in the sim, so it was added in with a fictitious ICAO code. You download it, it's EG43, Echo Golf 43. There we go. We're going to leave it here. Hope you enjoyed the overview of the 47. Is it sim worthy? Absolutely. It's well worth having this. And I believe it's included in several of the versions of Microsoft Flight Sim 2024. If you get the Aviator edition, it's included in that bundle of aircraft, along with 142 others. If you haven't already done so, please like and subscribe. Love to hear what you think about the video. And we're going to leave it here. Hope everybody is keeping well. Until cold and dark. Take care, everybody. Cheers, y'all.